Don't get me wrong.
How much would you pay to play disc golf? And like, to me, that kind of gives me an idea about like what these elite courses, this is where I'm going back to. It gives me an idea about what these elite courses could or should charge.
If I was to go to Europe and play the Beast, I would happily pay $50 because that's the experience of it. Yarba, on the other hand, is one of the most beautiful looking courses in the world, and it would be a dream to play there. If I had one opportunity, only had to play one round there, I honestly would probably pay $100
there you
just
go.
to say I've played Yarba disc golf course.
$100.
Anywhere else though, I've never looked at another course and said, yeah, I would totally pay that much.
For me, if I can play a free course or I can choose to play a course that's $40, I will do the $40 course every now and then.
Every so often.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you again for joining us tonight. It is a wonderful Thursday. Matt and I are very excited to be doing our 6th podcast, I'm pretty sure. We have a super fun special guest that we're going to talk about in just a little bit, but just want to give you guys kind of a brief rundown on what we're going to be talking about tonight. So we're going to be talking about growing the sport, getting outside sponsorships for disc golf events, and our special guest being Steve Dodge, who in the disc golf world has pretty much been anywhere and everywhere when it comes to growing the sport, getting outside sponsors into big events, and pretty much all the above at that point. So, Matt, how was your week?
It was excellent. Totally lucky to live next to Maple Hill. I got out there. They're doing their Flex Start leagues now.
Mm-hmm.
Massachusetts is doing pretty well as far as COVID's concerned. And
Yeah.
I played one of my better rounds as of late. I was telling you about it earlier. And man, I should have shot 9 down. And I know that's a true disc golfer like
Mentality.
phrase. Should have. But like, man, I should have shot one of my best rounds. And I shot a good round.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I got to do that with my son out there. Really cool things going on out there at Maple Hill. And so 2 weeks in a row, you got out with Simon and you played some golf.
Yep.
What happened special this week? I think I saw a few social posts.
Oh, so I checked out a new course in Franklin, the Mass this week called Daisy Fields Disc Golf. I was playing with my buddies Shane and Kyle, 2 of the highest rated players in Mass at the moment. I think definitely top 5. On hole 11, it's this like 260 to 280 foot blind hyzer. And I put my Paul Macbeth Malta right in the basket, right in the heart of the chains. So
Man,
it's a blind shot. I don't know if it was a skip ace. That's what they were saying. It probably was. So that was pretty cool. It was enjoyable. And yeah, I got to check out a new course off the list.
man, a blind ace. You told me earlier you've had 3 blind ace. I was there for one of them.
Yep.
And it was actually with the chains kind of pinned up like to the top like of the basket. So yeah, good ace, Nick.
Yeah.
How many does that make for you now?
No idea. I stopped counting after like 5, I'm pretty sure. I have a ton of funsy aces. I'll count 2 big aces were during leagues. And so my first ace ever, I got $340 for it at Pyramids. And then my second ace was during a singles league at Newton Hill on hole 8. I got like a $520 ace pot. So that was pretty sweet. I'm $800 in the bonus on my aces.
Wow. So I kind of missed it. Did you already hit the topics? We're going to talk about growing the sport and what we have to give up to do that. Because I think there's growing pains.
Sensitive subject, guys. Be ready.
Yeah. Also, we're going to talk about getting outside sponsorships. You already said this, but just as a reminder.
Yep.
And we're talking like A-list sponsorships. Okay. And then did you say who the guest was?
I did. Steven Dodge.
All right. So before
I think Steven. It might just be Steve. I don't know. I think that's a question we got.
So we will be talking to him in just literally count down here, guys, probably less than 90 seconds. I'd like to thank everybody who's been joining us. Our follower numbers are increasing. Our likes, our comments are the big thing to us. And we've been engaging with you. We really try to respond to everybody, even if you're making fun of Matt for talking too much. I know that
he does that a lot, doesn't he, guys? I want to give a quick shout out to actually one of our followers who's been on every single week, and he asked a question in this. Jeff Wachowski. I probably butchered that last name, but you asked, when are you going to bring Simon to New York? I have played Hyzer Creek up in New York when I was actually living in Scroon Lake. I loved that course. I really want to get back there, and so hopefully Simon and I and Casey, maybe, depending if we're all free, maybe go do a vlog up there. That'd be a pretty sweet time.
Cool. So those of you who are listening to our podcast post Thursday evening, You can always check it out live if you want to be a part of the action, get to sit here with our guests as well
Get a
as
shout
us.
out.
Get a shout out possibly. So just a reminder, if you are watching us on YouTube or Facebook, or you're listening on iTunes, if you haven't subscribed yet, would you just do that? In fact, we're probably going to do a giveaway here soon, Nick, and we're going to do it for subscribers. So if you
And
haven't,
we're pretty close to 500 now, right? If I look today, we're
Yeah.
a little over 400 on YouTube at the moment. So guys,
Totally
please
appreciate
take a
it.
quick second, like and subscribe. We love doing this. We're hoping you guys are enjoying it as well, and we'll keep plugging away at it.
All right, we're 6 minutes into the show, and we are going to go ahead at this point and welcome on our guest host tonight. His name is Mr. Dodge, and we're going to ask him, is your name Steven or Steve?
My name is Steven,
All right.
and it's spelled with a V because my grandmother didn't win that battle.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, so it's actually Steve Venn with a V, and people call you Steve. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome, Steve. How's it going?
Matt spelled the Steven wrong in the show notes, so I'm glad we clarified that. I'll have to speak with him privately.
I have in the show notes, is it Steven with a PH or Steve? I didn't say, is it Steven with a V? Anyways. All right. So how's it going?
One thing I want to say,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just heard your intro, and I appreciate the intro. And when you're at 400, 500 subscribers and you get one more, it really, really matters. Like, you guys notice every single new subscriber. So I just want to tell people, if you're going to subscribe, you should do it now when Matt and Nick care about every single subscriber. When they hit 80,000 subscribers, people are just joining because everybody else is in it. This is the time to subscribe.
We really
I think
care.
there's even a little bell button, right?
Yeah, well, we can do that. We haven't done it yet. We'll create a bell. That would be pretty cool, actually. So
Okay, so anyway,
So
this
how's
is
it
the
going?
time to subscribe to Matt and Nick and boost their numbers now. Encourage them to keep doing this. Tell your friends to subscribe and make this thing matter.
Love it.
Okay, Steve, enough about you. Let's talk more about me. How are you doing? Oh, wait, no, that's not how that joke goes. How are you doing?
Actually, I'm doing fantastic. The last 6 months has been a whirlwind of activity. Getting Birdie off the ground, it started shipping just a couple of days ago. That was very exciting. Maple Hill, we implemented some improved lost and found for the returning disc, where we text everybody now. We implemented a new tee time system. Gage has been killing it, and the course is looking fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
We're making a new layout at Maple Hill called the Diamonds course, which is going to be played by the women at the MVP Open this season. And I'm getting to spend a lot of time with my daughters this summer. If you heard of piano playing during the intro that you guys had, that was Rachel practicing piano.
It's funny. I was just playing the piano actually right before we started getting everything ready for the show. I love playing the piano. So Matt was like, "Oh, we'll have to do a section where it's Nick playing the piano for the followers," and I was like,
We're
I'm not
definitely
that
going to do that.
comfortable.
Patreon level like 10, you get to listen to Nick perform in concert. So
I will play a lullaby for you.
No, Nick is actually incredible on the piano. We will have him do it at some point. If a like or a follow for Nick to play the piano. So let's ask some quick hitting questions here. We actually do want to talk to you about Birdie, but let's just put that on the burner for a second. So what happened? And give us the short version if you want. People know you in large part for a few reasons, but let's go back a ways. Vibram Disc Golf. I'm wearing, if you recognize tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually our logo, which isn't up there right now, but it's on our show if you go look at it. I'm wearing the Vibram shirt. Now, our artist didn't incorporate Vibram, but that's the shirt I'm wearing, and I wear it almost every week. When this one wears out, do you have any more, Steve?
Not like that, I don't.
Man.
That's a very special shirt.
It is. I should figure it out.
Don't wear it out.
Okay, so what happened to Vibram? You did that for a while, and you don't have to give us all the history, but like, was it just time to be done? Vibram was done? Like, what's that all about?
What happened to Vibram? So at the very first Vibram sales meeting, Vibram at the time, Five Fingers was taking off. Vibram Soling is obviously huge. And I got to present at the Vibram sales meeting. And you know how you do the pie chart and you split it up, like this percentage is Five Fingers and this percentage is Soling. And I didn't do a 1 pixel line to indicate disc golf on there. I put 1 pixel. at the top of, like, I didn't even get a pixel width line. And I was like, and I pointed to it, and I was like, that's not burned out. That's disc golf sales relative to these guys.
Yeah.
And the disc golf had I think it was a 6 or 7 year run with Vibram. They did in my opinion, they did a really good job creating a very good disc. For example, it to this day, it's the only disc you could microwave for 1.5 minutes to get it back into shape, and it would gain its stability back. It was a really good product, but we never quite gained enough traction to encourage Vibram to give it the love that it needed. There obviously there's a lot of decisions, internal business decisions that go into not giving something enough love, but they gave it what they viewed was enough financial support. Five Fingers sort of took off on their own because it was a unique product.
Yep.
The Five Fingers, the toe shoe.
There were rumors about that in one of our recent episodes. Someone said like, oh, then some like lawsuit came down because they aren't actually better for your feet and they got sued. And I don't know, but that was an interesting product. And we actually brought that up when we talked to Hannah Macbeth, because when she started into the sport, and she's going to hate us again for bringing
this back up. Dark
but
times.
she wore Five Fingers when she started. So that was before she dated Paul. But yes, that's what she did.
So, I will go ahead and say that I wore the 2008 Vibram Open. I wore Five Fingers the entire tournament, and I'd never worn them before. And if you've ever gone barefoot for all day, it is very hard on your feet.
Yeah,
because you're using muscles that you don't normally use, because modern shoes, they like pamper our feet a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And what Five Fingers do is they just protect the bottom and make you use your feet the way they're supposed to be used. And my feet were not used to that, and it was very painful that first weekend. But to this day, I go barefoot quite often, and I love it. And I believe my feet are stronger because of the Vibram Five Finger.
Awesome.
I'll say I just agree with that product.
Yeah. And that's awesome. That was one of their products. I would see that, in the Boston windows or wherever they were selling them with the discs and all that. You'd see Five Fingers. So do you have any 420s left, Steve, that, you'd be happy to send away as a giveaway? No. So obviously the unique naming, was that a marketing decision from Vibram, or did you help contribute to the names of the discs?
I was the final arbiter of the names of the discs.
Wow.
Nice.
Cool. Good to know. So last question on Vibram. You probably don't know this, but is Vibram ever going to make a comeback in the disc golf world? We have people who would like to know. We've got people collecting, people interested that are here tonight on this show to hear. Will Vibram make a comeback?
I haven't heard any rumors about Vibram making a comeback. I mean, am I going to run for president? I haven't heard any rumors.
It could happen. We don't know yet. Exclusive news.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So enough about Vibram. That's the past. So Maple Hill, can we call it your baby? Is that something you've kind of nurtured from beginning till now?
I wouldn't. In that babies have a lot of parents.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm one of the parents of that baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then you obviously, that was before Vibram. Then you worked with Vibram. Is that correct? The timeline?
So 2003, I got married and left Fredericksburg, Virginia, and went up to Maple Hill. And
wow,
I followed the blockhouse model and built a course on private land where we could do whatever we wanted and made it single-use property. And that was the goal. Took a trip around the country to check out a whole bunch of great tournaments. Great courses. And then built Maple Hill with my cousin Tom, Dave Jackson, Jason Southwick helped out a bit. Cam Todd helped out a lot with the early design. My goal was always to build the greatest disc golf course on the planet, and we're really close.
Yeah, you're number one on the UDisc chart in the U.S. at the moment, with only Yarva being the one better course throughout the whole world. So I don't know if the rumors are still going around Yarva. I don't know if it's closing still or what's going on with that, but potentially in the next year, you will be the number one disc golf spot in the world.
maybe,
Yeah.
that could be the case. And I think
I've told everybody on the staff that we are not in any way the best course in the world, and we cannot rest on our laurels.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and she said, you need to be the #1 course on crack. Like it needs to be no other course.
No competition to it. Yeah, you wouldn't
one.
think about another course when someone was saying, "Hey, what's the #1 course in the world?" Boom, instantly you just think Maple Hill.
And this is
At
kind
that
of
point, I'll be happy.
yeah. So this is kind of, I don't know. I don't want to be that like show host who asks these types of questions, but how much do you think Maple Hill's success of being #1 rated or #2 at this point is built on the history of the course? How much do you think the percentage?
It was part of the plan going into the beginning. You can have the best course in the world. Augusta would be a great ball golf course, but it wouldn't be viewed as potentially one of the best unless they had that history. And that's just the way it is. And that was part of the plan going in at the very beginning, was to make sure we had the best names in the world throwing the best shots that people remembered on that course.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So that's thanks for telling me that. I mean, I was just thinking through it, and I know that's a big part of it. You guys obviously had a great plan. It's come to fruition, and people now have it as like in their top 3 bucket list courses every time. Excellent job. So then you founded the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I want to take a quick pause there.
Yes.
Because one of the other goals, and I know we're going to get into the concept of growing the sport and what we have to lose, but one thing that we have to gain, and there's lots, but is people looking at a course like Maple Hill and saying, hey, you can actually make a profit building a disc golf course. And the better the course, the more the profit. The more people will come, the higher the prices they will pay.
Yep.
And what I would encourage, if you want to have one of the best courses in the world, try to get your course to host an event on the Pro Tour, even if it's a Silver Series event. Hire a tournament director and work towards making your course one of the courses that the best people in the world want to come and play, because that's how you get your name out there. Harmony Bends is a beautiful course, a great course.
Yep.
So few people know about it because it hasn't been exposed to us, and it will be in maybe this year and then in the future as it grows and gets a premier event held there every year. And that course will become a course that will rival Maple Hill in greatness once it has that history.
Yep. Simon actually just posted a vlog. Simon's never been there, and Simon's been in the sport for over 20 years. He's been playing in the USA the last 10 years, and just the other day was his first time ever going out there. And I haven't watched the full video of it yet, so I have no idea. I've heard of the course before, but don't know anything about it past just the name of it.
Exactly. So, and that's, so I just want to, if you're thinking about building a course, or you have a course and you want it to be viewed as one of the best, host a premier event on that course and get the best players in the world throwing shots and put them on YouTube.
So that realistically, I mean, it's easier said than done, Steve. I mean, that's like, you have to be Steve Dodge or somebody else who can run a great event. And that kind of brings me to this idea, like the Disc Golf Pro Tour. You invented that. We don't need to spend forever on that, but that was really cool, obviously. And I'm interested in your take on it now, because you grew something from fruit, like vision. I can remember back, let me just say this. I didn't get to this point in the introduction, but you were saying 2003, and that's just about when I started playing disc, well, maybe 2 years after that. And I remember walking in to Marshall Street, and you were at the computer editing Marshall Street Disc Golf Championship. You were editing footage, and you said, hey, do you want to check out the footage I've done? Because I was into video at the time. And I checked it out, and we talked for a little bit, and that was my first recollection of you. And then I can also remember playing a league at Maple Hill, one of my first leagues ever, and it was kind of rainy. Small group of people showed out, 7 or 8 or something, and you looked at me and you said, are you any good? And you were trying to figure out how to match me up, like which card should I go with and whatnot, because it was my first time. And I think I said, I'd like to think I am. But anyways, I can remember.
Good answer.
Yeah, but then I can remember the Vibram Open started, and you started having play-in opportunities, like qualifying opportunities. Can I ask, was that kind of the like what you were planning to kind of go do the disc golf pro tour? It's kind of like, I'm going to start it here with Maple, and I'm going to have like qualifying events and spots to get in, and then take it large. Was that kind of like a prototype, if you will?
The answer to your question is yes. It was a prototype. I did not anticipate that I would be the person running the tour or creating the tour. In 2003 or 4 or 5, I joined the PDGA board of directors, and you can ask everybody on the board, but the entire time I was there, I was just pro focused. Mm-hmm. The grassroots of the sport is growing. It will continue to grow. There's lots of people pushing the grassroots, all the local leagues and things like that. We didn't have, at the time, a top-down approach to growth. You learn disc golf in school for 3 weeks, and then you're done. And like, I'm talking about middle school and high school. Like, it's a part of your gym class. Yeah. But it's not cool because there's no professional tour. So then you don't go play it anymore. Even if you know there's a course down the street, you're just like, okay, now I know what those baskets are. But I don't know about somebody named Paul Macbeth or someone named Ricky or someone named Simon or someone named Paige or someone named Sarah Hokum. We could go with that list.
Yeah, you can go on and on at this point.
Interesting. Top-down approach.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason we're seeing tremendous growth in the sport right now. People like Jomez putting out video, people like the Pro Tour making it cool to be a touring professional. Mm-hmm. There's that kind of like, that's the hook, if you will. People understand the game and they think it's fun, but give me a hook, give me a reason to go do it again. And that was always my goal. I'm very comfortable that people can do grassroots growth and that'll happen. But the top down it didn't seem like anybody was focusing on that. So in 2005 or 6 or whatever it was, I joined the board and I wanted the NT to become something special. I wanted MPO and FPO only. I wanted a geographic circuit that made sense. I wanted higher payouts, and I wanted media coverage. And I consistently got it voted down. 2010, Jay Redding and I chaired the National Tour Committee. We did the exact same thing and tried again. And all of the tournament directors agreed, and all the NT committee people agreed, and we put it to the board, and it got voted down again. Mm-hmm. 2013, I tried one more time, and then in 2014, I proposed the idea of the Pro Tour, and then in 2015, I did it again, and we went ahead and moved forward.
Yeah. So you stuck with it all those years, and it's pretty crazy, listening to that, because, 2010, 11, 12, 13 is kind of that's when I got into the sport, was about 2012, 2013. And there was already that big showing of pros. Like, I would come out to the Vibram Open and be able to see all the favorite players who I do get to watch on YouTube. But a lot of the players were putting out their own content. Like, one of the things that I liked was, back in the day, the McBeast Diaries. Paul and his brother, Jonathan, were going out and filming Paul's tournaments. And he was doing, say B tiers, A tiers, NTs, majors, and he was filming all of them. And so everyone was watching those. And that's how I got to know who Paul was as a competitor. And so I like the fact that you were top down the whole time, because that kick-started all of these players nowadays actually being able to make a living in the sport, which, shout out to you. And hopefully all these pros do appreciate that, because it's incredible to hear.
And in just a minute here, we're going to talk about how to make it so more than just the top 20 can make it on the road. And I don't know what your model was, but like there's a certain cutoff where if you're not making it, you're not probably making it. Did you have something you wanted to follow up on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the goal of the Pro Tour from the very start has been twofold. Number one, and they feed off of each other. Number one, bring spectators to make disc golf a spectator sport. And number two, make it so that touring pros can actually make a living. Yeah. You can literally be a touring pro. You're not necessarily getting all your money from purses, but if you can make your name on the Pro Tour and then you put your name on a disc and then sell that disc and do some clinics, then you've got 3 income streams, mm-hmm. and you actually can make a living staying on tour. Yep. One of the best days of my life in the last 5 or 6 years, and I have no idea if this is actually true, but one of the days that I remember being significantly positive, I'll word it that way, was when Sarah Hokum came up to me. I don't know if she gave me a hug or not, but she said, Steve, last year I went out on tour all year. I worked my butt off, and I finished the year with $2,000 less than I started. And this year I'm already up for the season, and we're halfway through, and things are looking great. And thank you very much, because this is how it gets going.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody can make money doing something, somebody else will do it.
Mhm.
Paul Macbeth is the best in the world right now, but there's a bunch of 17-year-olds going, hey,
Why can't I be that
I can
next
throw
somebody?
7,000 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're going to go on tour, and they're willing to live in their van for a season or two
Yeah.
and see where it goes.
Right. And
Anyway, that's all.
So I want to say thank you to you for that. My vision with Kids Disc Golf, and people that watch this show know that I was one of the co-founders there. Our vision was because of what you were doing. We said, top down, you're inspiring the kids to see what the pros can do. And we said, we need to do top down in the sense of they learn, like you said, a gym program at school about disc golf, but they have nowhere to take it. And so we wanted to provide competitions, which is where the U.S. championships coming in, as well as we try to sponsor and host as many local tournaments as we can for juniors to give them something to aspire to show off their talents to their peers and to work really hard. And so I think you had the right perspective. You're the original founder. I'll always remember you as being that. And so it's got to be different. Do you have any feelings about the Disc Golf Pro Tour starting off tomorrow? Is that really exciting, or what would you say about that?
I'm giddy.
Okay.
I've kept my Disc Golf Network subscription for the last 4 or 5 months.
Nice.
And it might have only been 2 or 3 months. Who knows?
Yeah, March.
But
3-4
Mo
months.
and crew have done an amazing job creating content and keeping us mildly engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff and Seth, and I can't imagine the scramble that happened behind the scenes. I can imagine it, actually. But the great thing is we didn't see any of the scramble on this side. When I ran the Pro Tour, everybody saw all the scramble. And that's just one of my I'm as transparent as can be. But Jeff and Seth have put together an amazing, they've saved the season. They got the DDO Open coming up. They've got what's the next one called?
Preserve.
The Preserve,
Yep.
yeah. The Preserve coming up, and then that takes care of SFO and Portland. Plus, next year, what do you do with these 2 events? Maybe we're going to go up to 12 or 13 events, and
Yeah.
we got some great Silver Series events. I'm very, very excited for the future of the Pro Tour, and I'm in a really good place because my goal all along was, and it's hilarious that to say this with what we went through and have this actually be my goal. My goal all along was literally to sit on a beach with my tablet and watch live disc golf. That's like not this year, not next year, but some year down the road. And I just want to sit there and watch live disc golf, sitting on a beach, just sipping my beer, going, this is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
And we did it.
Yeah. I think that's got to be a tremendous feeling. Excellent job. Congratulations on that. And it's like you're not in the retirement of disc golf, but you've retired from that and you get to look at it in a positive light. That is awesome. I kind of want to get this turned towards a next topic, but I want to give you a chance. Is there anything you wanted to say about Birdie, the disc golf board game, before we move into the topics? Is there anything you want to say, people, where they can go buy it? I know the Kickstarter's over, but like, where's it available?
Right now, it's available at bodabrothers.com. And tomorrow or the next day, we're going to be making a post about the 21 vent retailers who we ship to our retailers first.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be getting it in the next day or two and hopefully getting it up on their websites. And there's 21 retailers around the country who will be able to get it. Starting in July, other retailers will be able to get it. So I will go ahead and say that we were testing some new ideas, some new things for Birdie yesterday, the day before. And it was my brother and his daughter and myself. We all tied the round at 29. Emily had 2 chances to win. She had to go up and down on the last hole, and she threw it to circle 2, and she just needed to hit one circle 2 putt, but she was out of focus, out of chips.
Oh no!
So she just rolled
the die
it.
weren't going her
She
way.
hit chain. Then she hit chains, so she had another chance to win it, and then rolled and
She had a
didn't
spit
go
out.
in, and then we all tied, and Todd had the most chips left, and he ended up winning. But and we just sat back, and I was just like, that was so much fun. And it's
all I can say is
it's a blast. It's
Nick, you've played it.
Yeah, I've played it, and Steve was actually kind of our dungeon master when a bunch of us played it, and it was incredible because the way Steve had done it with all of us, I think it was Paul, Hannah, Todd, Simon, and myself. Steve being the dungeon master, and so all the rules were explained through him. All we had to do was just roll the die. Steve moved the chips on the board. He took all the chips when we needed a focus one or a distance one or whatever. It was perfect, and it was very, very smooth, and we had an absolute blast. And I think once again Paul took it down, which is a very Paul thing to do. But I remember it being somewhat of a close battle.
So I also have a story. This is excellent. Steve Dodge came over my house the first time ever and played this board game in its very beginning stages with printed out sheets of board paper or whatever, and like who knows what. We were using dice on the iPad and iPhones, and we were really like prototyping it. And my 10-year-old, now I think you have an age limit on there. What's your recommendation?
Well, the recommendation on the game is 14 plus.
Yes, so I just want to shout out, if you have a smart 10-year-old, they will love it as well. It was excellent. My kid, I call him my kid, Hunter, has been really like, Dad, when's that game coming? When's it coming? And I said, hey, coronavirus slowed everything down, but I got the shipping notification. It was a super blast fun of a game. Kudos to you. Anybody that's watching this out of our, 500 people, go buy the game if you haven't. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump into topic number 1.
It's time for topic number 1.
Okay, so here we are. Topic number 1. We have made it, everybody. What is it going to take to grow the sport? It's obviously growing, but what are the growing pains going to look like to take it to the next level? So, Steve, you talked a little bit about the history of your experience with disc golf. Can you just tell me, maybe in a short, concise way, what is the biggest change you've seen from disc golf of 20 years ago to now? Like, it's obviously been tremendous, but what is the biggest change? Think about it.
That's a great question.
That's a deep question.
It has to be media.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that, I could just leave it right there and let that sit. I remember 20 years ago, when people would talk about, we've got great players, and they were talking about the 3 great players. They weren't talking about the 50 great players. We've got great players that should go on tour, and everybody in the world should see these people. And we're so close to a pro tour, or we're so close to a media contract, or whatever it was. And the interesting thing is, now we actually are close. The Disc Golf Pro Tour has the Disc Golf Network. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, here's a funny story. My mom literally texted me today and said, the Dynamic Discs Open is tomorrow. And so, number one, she was aware. This is a 78-year-old woman who plays disc golf because her son loves it.
Yeah.
And that's her connection to the game. But she's watched for a couple of years, and she wants to see Sarah Holcomb play disc golf. Mm-hmm. She wants to see Paige Pierce play disc golf. She wants to know when and how can I watch. So her question to me, because we're Puritans and we're cheap, how can I watch the Pro Tour for free? That's my mom's question to me.
Okay, we're actually going to take it there in just a second.
Yeah.
And I told her you can watch the final round for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
But if you want to watch any of the first 2 rounds, you have to have a subscription to the Disc Golf Network.
Man, we're going to get there.
And I told her I would give her my name and my username and password. And I think you're allowed to have 2 streams. I don't know. That's the way I set it up.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I don't know if they've changed. So me and my mom will be watching potentially on my stream tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay, so In
Wait,
short,
what was your?
yeah, no,
media.
you answered it.
Yeah, you answered it. You answered it just by saying the media in general, and like people in the comments are saying, the internet in general has been huge, and it sucks to say this, but during the whole coronavirus right now, disc golf content has blown up. Like it really has, and you said it perfectly. The Disc Golf Pro Tour has done a really good job of keeping people engaged. Jomez on Instagram and Facebook have been keeping people engaged, and then Jomez came out with the Showmez show, and the internet itself,
Hold on.
media.
What is this show? We came out with the Nick and Matt show.
So we have the Nick and Matt show now. Just podcasts in general. Everything. This is when Matt and I found it to be the perfect time to start this. We had talked about it, for a decent amount of time, and we're like, you know what? Everyone in the world wants disc golf content. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're putting out content right now, more than likely people are listening to you. Whether you see it or not, people are actually tuning into it. One of our videos on YouTube, this blew my mind, but in like the first week it had over 9,000 views on it, and it was like, holy cow, we weren't expecting that at all. And so then you get the Showmez guys, Central Coast putting out videos now with the Goat Hill Championships, and then the rewatches that the Pro Tour has been doing. One of the best ones being Valerie Jenkins' 2016 run at Worlds, that big comeback victory she had. I watched it. It was awesome. But yeah, the media in general has been huge in the growth.
There's a rumor out there, and it's literally just been like major rumor explosion. Who knows where it came from? I know a few people that I've seen post about it, but something about CBS. I will just leave it at that. I've literally seen people refer to CBS as having something to do with disc golf, and here's the rumor, in the next few months. I don't know. If it happens, if it literally makes it onto a national network, like prime time, that might be too much. A Saturday morning, I don't care, but CBS, that would be very significant point in history, in my opinion. It's been on ESPN, the Ocho or whatever.
SportsCenter had just posted Philo's Albatross video. I looked at it today on Facebook. It has over 10 million Facebook views on it. That's insane. 10 million. Some of the comments aren't the greatest of, disc golf, but over 10 million people got to see that video, which I thought was incredible. They had wrote, this dude deserves to be in the Disc Golf Hall of Fame. So for once, they finally called it disc golf, which was pretty awesome. And
Nice.
but yeah, over 10 million views just on one 45-second video.
Okay, so people are now, this is the best part about doing a live show. We're fact-checked immediately. There apparently, and I haven't fact-checked myself, but apparently CBS is no rumor. It's a fact I'm being told by multiple people. Something about check Facebook, check Instagram. It's out there.
I
so
haven't even seen
we are
this
going to
yet.
have to look it up. But that is obviously going to be extreme. If that's the case, that's excellent. Good night dreams are coming our way. I mean, that's awesome.
So what I'll say is not if we make it onto a major network, and whether that network is CBS or Netflix, whatever it is, we need to, as a community, support that network and say thank you and tell every one of our friends and all of their parents and all of their children and all of their cousins tune in.
Yeah.
Because the way that CBS, the thing that CBS cares about, the thing that Netflix cares about, all of these companies or outside TV, whatever it is, they all care about viewership. And they're anticipating 20,000 viewers, 50,000 viewers, whatever it is. If we can blow that out of the water, they will say, they will take notice, because these companies follow metrics. These are real companies, and they follow metrics. And if the eyeballs are there, they will put the money where our mouths are and feed us. And we will. They will help us grow this sport up even faster.
Right, and so
I'm gonna check a little bit on that.
Yeah, check that out. I just want to say there's 3 points here, or there's a couple points to the whole idea about how is the sport growing and what's it going to take, or what are we going to have to give up? Can I just say this, and we'll be done in 5 minutes with this topic, and there's a whole bunch to talk about, but is money. And everyone's going to laugh or comment and be like, Matt, get over the money thing. We've talked about pay to play disc golf. We've talked about pay to watch disc golf. And now we're just talking about bringing more money into the sport. But I think it's what the next wave of growth is going to need, because at this point, we're just barely there, and we have disc golf manufacturers doing maybe as much as they can or as much as they want to. We have, I think, the disc golfer. This is going to be my soapbox. I don't think the disc golfer, if they really want it to grow, is paying enough for disc golf. It's only going to be for a little bit. It's bootstrapping our way in. All the grassroots disc golfers give to everything. You talked about signing up to the Disc Golf Network and just staying subscribed through COVID. I did the same thing. I'm not going to pull out for 2 months and lose. And in fact, this is not I don't want to say like awesome brag on myself, but I pay the full amount. I don't take the PDGA. I just said, let's go, because I don't see my $4 extra per month as hurting anybody, not even hurting me. Like, I can go without an energy drink or whatever it is. Like, so give. I think if we had more money, and that's going to lead us into realistically, because we talked about a lot of this and I don't want to rehash it all out. I think that's going to bring us to our topic number 2 here. So sit tight.
It's time for topic number 2.
Okay, so topic number 2, which we just led right into. Steve, I think you're going to have a pretty good handle on this, or at least from your perspective, because you were just leading into it there. Sponsorships, outside sponsorships. You said they care about the metrics. So if they care about the metrics, it's because they're giving us something. And what are they giving us to this point in disc golf? Do we have outside sponsorships? I think we talked about a little bit earlier before the show. What did you call them? A tier or A class or whatever?
A-list companies. Yeah.
A-list companies. So do we have any of those in the sport? Have we had any of those in your recollection?
So again, in our pre-talk, you had mentioned that Ford sponsored something over at the Europeans on the Europe side.
Yep.
I have not seen anything that makes me think that we have any A-list companies that are genuinely interested in disc golf.
GBO last year. Was it GBO last year? I thought I was seeing some Maine beer advertisement. Well, not Maine, not as in like the state of Maine. It was like, I don't want to say it was like Miller Lite. It might have been. It was something. I feel like I was seeing flag banners, like feather flags, like all over the course, but I can't remember that. If anyone remembers live, go ahead and comment. But to your point, Arbys, okay? So people go, oh, Arbys, but can we just say like that was like a franchise store, right? And that was even like they pulled out of it.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between like A-list franchises too, like the individual stores sponsoring something, and like all of Arbys corporate. That would be something else.
We've had Subway sponsor the MSDGC back in the mid 2000s.
Yep.
That's not what we're talking about. I had and the way that we're going to get the A-list companies and get legitimate sponsorship is the Pro Tour. That's
and
the
why
short
is
version.
that? And why is that, Steve?
The Pro Tour takes either 10 to 12 premier events or 20 to 24 top level events, if you include the Silver Series, and they can advertise across all of them. And all of a sudden, when you aggregate all of those numbers, you have a number that matters. You have 500,000 viewers. You have 1 million viewers over the course of the season, and you're hitting them multiple times. You're across the nation, so you're hitting, like, you can actually do, like, in handouts. You could have a company come and do handouts at all of these events, and they have sales reps who do that, and they can just travel with the tour, or they can just pop in and out when the tour's anywhere that it is.
Yep.
And I'll share a little story that makes me think we're getting closer, but we're not there yet. In 2017, I had about a 45-minute phone call with somebody in marketing at Southwest who, it felt like he was relatively high up. And about a minute into the conversation, I asked him, "Why are you talking to me?" Because it was obvious we didn't have anything that would do them any good.
Yep.
And he said, "Because you guys are growing, and I want you to think of me when you're ready."
Oh.
And so we ended up having about a 45-minute conversation, and I mapped out what I thought was a really good activation for them. I wanted on the longest hole of each course, we were going to put yard markers, foot markers, 100, 200, 300, 400, all the way out to maybe 800 feet.
Yeah.
And they were going to look like a runway.
Okay.
So it would have the Southwest logo on one side, and it would have the 100 feet on the other side, and it would just, the whole would look like a runway. And then when the lead card came through, for every foot that the women threw and every foot that the men threw, they would donate X amount of dollars to their charity. And then we would do this throughout the season. We had a little ticker in the bottom right of the screen, so that when somebody's throw was going, it would just go brrr, and it didn't matter if it was accurate or not. It just had to be close and get people excited that, number one, Southwest involved, and number two, more money is being donated to this charity. It's a feel good ticker more than an accurate ticker. But that's the way we sold it. Like when Simon steps up to hole 11, we know he's going to throw about 640 feet. Like that's just
what he does.
So the ticker goes that. But anyway, and we talked through it, and he said that's a fantastic activation. And I said to him, if I gave you this activation for free for the entire season, what would you say? And he didn't even pause. He said, no, it's not worth it. And the reason is because he has to pay somebody in his office to manage that.
Yeah.
He has to pay somebody to go to the course and make sure that runway looks amazing. Like it has to be the best looking runway in the world every time. And while Seth and I do a great job setting up the course, no, that's not going to cut it.
It
for
potentially
Southwest.
won't
They
meet
need
to their standards.
Man.
Exactly.
Man.
Like, they're going to make these standards. Everything look great every time.
Yep. And so it's easier for them to hire someone to bring them out to the Pro Tour events. So I shouldn't say easier, because obviously it wasn't, but it's better for them to hire someone from inside their company, send them out to your events, and then they got to pay that person. They got to pay for that person's travel, their hotel, and everything like that, just to set up a runway on potentially only one disc golf hole per tournament, and say 10 to 12 events for that. I can see where they're talking about, okay, you're just not ready there yet, but where, I don't know if you remember this from your conversation, but I'm sure you asked, what does it look like when we are ready for that?
So I'll just go ahead and say he estimated $60,000 to $100,000 their cost just to manage the partnership
for a year.
So for a year, and they're paying for the person internally to manage all of the little facets of the contract, and then they're paying for people to go on site and set the thing up and make sure it's good, and then double check with the person's managing it, and then they all sign off and everything goes.
So is it safe to say, Steve, that it's not, the problem is not that they're not excited about it, because you said that they're excited about the growth. It's not that we need to be like, hey, we need to introduce you to disc golf and get you excited. I mean, that might be true for some, but it sounds like to me, we need to have, and correct me if I'm wrong, we need to keep demonstrating more viewers. We need to keep demonstrating that. And then we need to be able to just make more money to hopefully even offset some of those costs of getting advertisers to say, okay, now it's worth it.
Right. When you go to, and I'll just give all tournament directors a little piece of advice. When you go to the local plumber and you say, hey, would you give us $30 and sponsor a tee sign? Sure, maybe. I don't care if I get a customer. That's $30. Who cares? It's when you go to and then you go to the convenience store. The convenience store doesn't even want to bother talking to you for $30.
Right.
So ask them for $250. Make it something so they're like, oh, okay, that's a real thing. Make it $1,000. When I asked, I told Southwest, I said, this is a $50,000 package. For me, I was just like, that'd be insane. For him, he was like, no, $250,000, maybe I'm interested.
So we need money, but I will be interested to see, Steve. And now I'm sure when you hang up with us, you're going to go check it out too, I hope. CBS. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to. So I quickly, while I was on my phone just a little bit ago, I hope everyone doesn't think I'm rude for it. I did want to look. Everyone's been commenting saying, oh my gosh, check out Facebook, Instagram. So I quickly went on Joe Miss Pro's page, and I don't want to talk about it this week, only in the sense that I'm not knowledgeable enough about what's going on. From a quick, brief, kind of like 10-second, I read that there is no post-round production. It is all going to be live with CBS Network with, I'm assuming, Jomez filming it. Don't 100% know, though. We're not knowledgeable about it yet. Next
Very
week, that's
cool.
going to be a fire topic.
Very cool. So we could talk about this forever, and we could, but I think people are probably just wetted their lips just enough to be able to be like, hey, I want to find out more about how to help. But I can say this: support everything disc golf. Support everything disc golf the best that you can, and work to make it look as professional as you can. Hey, Steve, I know you got to go,
Wait,
but
I just want to follow that up.
Yes.
Because I remember you saying earlier, like people need to pay more to grow the sport. And I understand conceptually what you're saying, but the easy way to pay is to turn on your computer and watch.
yes,
If you can get those numbers, watch Joez, watch Central Coast, watch GK Pro, watch Gatekeeper, watch everybody. And that's, as those numbers grow, people notice. And that's 100% why, if CBS is interested, that's why they're interested. They've seen the growth, they see the numbers. We've got 10,000 concurrent viewers, and here we go.
That's just like our podcast, 10,000 concurrent viewers as we speak.
no,
Minus a lot.
We're currently at just 40 concurrent, which
Yeah.
is pretty good for us.
And we're
Eventually,
beyond
we'll
happy
tap
with that.
we'll tap 1,000 or so between each of our podcasts and all whatnot. But
Yeah.
Steve, I know you got to go soon. If we play our game, Judge That Disc Golfer, you're probably gonna be 5 minutes late. Do you want to go 15 more minutes and play the game, or do you got to go?
Let's go 15 minutes.
All right.
I'll knock this out of the park.
All right.
Cool.
So
Sounds
we're
good.
gonna.
What am I doing?
If we feel like we got to dial it down kind of short, then we will. But
All right, so we'll explain the rules
Okay.
to you, but first you're going to see a video of the contestant, and then we'll explain the rules. So here it comes.
Judge That Disc Golfer, the game show where you judge a disc golfer you've never met.
All right, hey, my name's Matt. What's your name?
I'm Tim Melly.
All right, Tim. How long have you been playing disc golf for?
I think this is my 4th summer. I started summer going into 8th grade.
Okay. Do you have a PDGA number?
Yes.
Okay, what is that?
120149, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. And what is your PDGA rating, if you don't mind me asking?
Who? I don't even remember. It's really low.
Like, what range are we talking?
Like mid 800s. I promise I'm better than that. I've only played a few rounds on it, but
Awesome. So, have you played in any competitions?
yeah, a few of them.
Okay. What's your best finish in any division?
I think I was 5th or 6th in in junior 15s at the Northeast Junior Disc Golf Championships.
Awesome. All right. So you've been playing a little while here. How far can you throw a disc? Okay, Steve. So here's how the game works. It's a question like that. How far is he going to say he can throw a disc? We're not going to have him throw one. So really it should be how far will you say? And we're going to make Nick go first. It's not Price is Right style. It's the closest in general to what he answers. So Nick, how far can he throw a disc, or how far will he say?
300 feet.
All right, Nick says 300. Nick's, what's your average on this game? We've played 6 weeks in a row. How many have you won?
Like, I'm pretty sure I'm 1 for 6.
Okay.
And that's like maybe.
All right, Steve. So what do you think he's going to say for how far can you throw a disc? What do you think he's going to answer?
First of all, I got to say, I like Tim Melly a ton.
Oh,
This guy is very, very fun to watch.
oh boy.
He seems very grounded. He seems like he doesn't think too much of himself. He's not, his poop stinks just like everybody else's. But I have a feeling, look, and he's kind of wiry. I think this guy can throw.
He's commenting right now. Apparently he's watching live.
Commented.
Well, I think that Tim Melly can throw that disc quite a distance. I'm going to give him 340.
So Tim had before we started back up, Tim had comments. He says, "Dang, Nick, that hurts a little." So Tim, I'm sorry. My guesses have been so bad in this game where someone comes on and I think, hey, that person can probably throw 450 feet. And then they say 245.
This is the first time that we've had one of the guest contestants or guest players come on to the show live. This is the first time. So this is excellent. Okay. So you said what'd you say, 30 or 50?
340.
I said 340, and I'll admit that I was going to say 400.
Okay.
But Nick went to 300, and I just have to be closer, so
Yeah.
I went to 340.
It's true. It's the over-under. So let's hear what Tim said. Here we
I
go.
was going to say like 475.
Flat ground around 450 is the farthest I've thrown on flat ground.
Tim, I'm going to take you up on
Awesome.
that. I
And can
want
I
to see
ask-
that.
Just as a follow-up here, because you said junior division, how old are you?
I'm 16.
Okay, you're 16. You can throw flat ground around 450 feet. How many discs? Okay, so I just want to follow up. That point goes to Steve. So, Steve, you
By
were
a
the
mile.
closest. It was a good strategy. You just have to be, just don't do like the 301, you know? 340 is good. So 1 point to Steve. Here we go. I kind of missed the beginning of this question here. I said how far I think so, or let's see what the question
You said
is.
how many?
Okay, well, let's see. Here we go. Do you have in your bag?
Ooh, I don't know.
All right, you can count.
I can count.
Okay, so how many discs do you have in your bag? So you can kind of see, or you could see, I'll kind of put it back up. It's a little small there for the live viewers, but you can kind of see his bag. Steve, you're up first this time. How many discs is he going to say are in his bag?
I gotta get real close on there. It looks like he's got 4 or 5 putters.
We'll put full screen up. There you
which
go.
I would think would be enough putters. And I'm gonna guess 850 rated. He can throw 450, and he's not. Yeah, that I think you're better than 850 rated, also, Tim. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that he's got 19 discs in there.
Okay, 19 discs it is. Go ahead, Nick. What do you think?
23.
20.
Yeah.
Okay, so the under on 19 or 21 would go to Steve. 22 would go to Nick. So let's see what happens here. Or the over 23. All right, here we go. Let's see who gets the points.
Right now I have 22. I normally have a couple less, but I got a couple new destroyers that I want to test out today. So
Okay, so that is incredible. That goes to Nick, right? You said 23, right?
Yeah.
So that 22 goes to you. Yeah, there you go. That was very close. You guys were.
Can we clarify? Are those 2 destroyers? He was just testing out new destroyers. I didn't
So do
think
we
those
count
counted.
those? Yeah.
That's excellent. Good point. Yeah, well, they're in his bag. So, all
Hold on-
right.
hold on 1 second.
Yep.
Tim, you had commented. You said, let's do it. Nick and I DM you. Shoot me a message on Facebook, Nicholas Carl, or Instagram, Disc Golf Nick Carl. We'll get out for a round this week.
All right, so here we go. That point goes to Nick. We are at a dead heat. There's 6 questions, so there's 4 left. Here we go. Question number 3. Okay, so 22 discs. All right, next question. Do you have any aces? Okay, we asked, do you have any aces? The question should more have been, how many aces have you thrown?
Yeah.
That's the assumption when this question was asked. But do you have any aces? He's going to give an answer. What do you think, Nick?
So this is yes or no at this point.
Well, you can say yes or no. If you say no, then there's no number. If you say yes, give us a number.
Oh, okay. Yes with 2.
Okay. Nick says 2. So, Steve, you can guess the same number at this point. Not for question 6, you can't. But you
But
could
where's
if
the
you
fun
want
in
to
that?
now. Yeah, or you could say 1 or 3 or whatever. So, go ahead and give your answer, Steve.
Am I correct in thinking that Tim started playing when he was 8? Did he say?
Ooh, 3 or 4 years. He said he was 16.
Yeah.
No, it was about 12.
Yeah,
12
12 or
years old.
13.
Oh, just 3 or 4. Okay, I heard the number 8, but okay. So 4 years. Ew. I believe Tim has 4 aces, but I'm going to go ahead and caveat that because I think some of those aces were on really short holes, and I wouldn't count those as aces myself, Tim. But I bet you do, and I bet you got 4.
All right, let's see what happens here. It's tied up.
I do have 1 ace.
Okay, you have 1 ace. Do you have? Okay, so he said flip this screen around. He says he has 1, so that goes to Nick. But I was there in conversation. This was actually this morning recorded, Steve. That's what Maple looked like this morning. And he actually told me, I think it was him, about having a few like black aces of sorts or something along those lines. So no, they didn't count.
Yeah.
So you were actually kind of right on in a way. All right. So that was pretty good too. It'd almost be like half a point there, but we didn't put it on there. So, all right. So another point to Nick. Let's go ahead and pull this back up here. And I missed part of the question again, but let's listen in. Have a favorite pro disc golfer, whether it's FPO or MPO, male or female. Do you have a favorite pro disc golfer?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I have a lot of favorites, but
Okay, so you do, or you have a lot. You had to choose just one player. Who would it be? Okay, we asked him if he had to choose one of his favorites. He said he has a lot. There's a lot of pros out there, Steve. It's not like 20 years ago when you had the top 4. So go ahead. This is like free range here. I think it's actually Steve's answer.
Steve's up.
All right, Steve. You're down 1.
He's playing at Maple Hill. There's a local pro that plays at Maple Hill a lot. There's another local pro that got engaged at Maple Hill, but I don't think that's good enough. I'm going with Simon Lazat.
He took my answer because that's my safe bet.
That's the safe bet. That's always the safe bet.
So he's got an end of a bag, throws destroyers, but putts with dynamic. I'm going to go Ricky.
Okay.
Ricky Wysocki.
Ricky. Let's listen in and hear what he says.
Right now, I'd have to say Garrett Gerthy. I love watching him throw wicked far.
Okay.
Great.
Would you rather? Yeah. If you didn't catch
That's a good point, yeah.
The New England accent, he goes, I like watching him throw wicked far. So Garrett Gerthy, that's a first for Garrett Gerthy on our show. We've had quite a few Simons. We haven't had some Pauls. We had Kevin Jones.
Yep.
All right. So no point there. You're still only down by 1. That was question 4, right? This is question 5. Here we go. Question number 5.
Wait,
What? Yeah, go ahead.
Are we sure the number of discs in the bag? Wasn't there some question on that one?
Yeah, we could check right now if you want to count. No, okay.
All right, go ahead.
Here we go. There. Get your second ace on a hole that plays over 400 feet or play around with Garrett Gerthy. Okay, so the question was, because we cut off the front a little bit there, would you rather get your second ace, because he already had 1, get your second ace on a 400-foot hole or play around with Garrett Gerthy, who he said would be his favorite pro at this point? So this goes to Nick. What is he going to say? That's a big ace.
I'm going to have to go with around with Garrett Gerthy because that sounds like a blast.
Okay, there's only one or the other here, Steve. So you go on with Nick, and you're going to stay. If it's a tie there and you get the same answer, you're still only down 1. If you go opposite, it's wrong. You're down 2. But if you're right and you go opposite, then you'll be tied, and that'll be better. So whatever you want to do.
How many more questions? How many more questions are there?
There's only one more.
One more after this.
Unfortunately, I have to go with Nick because I don't think Tim's too worried about his second ace. I think, heck, I'd rather play with Garrett Gerthy than ace a 400-foot hole, and I can't even throw 400 feet.
All right, let's see what he answered. Here we go. All right, sorry, I paused it. Here we go.
I'd say play around with Garrett. That'd be really fun. He seems like a cool guy.
Now, if it was like a 600-foot ace to win a tournament, that would be a different story.
I'll have to rephrase the question.
We'll have to make that a little harder.
Make it crazy. Yeah. Make it crazy.
Win $1 million or play with Garrett Gerthy.
That's actually a good question.
Tim, what do you think if you're still in the comments?
That is
what do you want?
That's a good question. $1 million or play with your
let's say
pro.
Not $1 million. Let's say $1,000 cash tomorrow or play around with Garrett Gerthy. Tim, if you're still in there, I want to see it.
Interesting follow-up.
How about win a car?
Okay.
Win a car or play around with Garrett Gerthy.
Okay, so those are I'm gonna have to rephrase
I'd love a new car.
You're like, forget Paul and Simon. I've played enough.
I've played enough with them. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so good strategy, Steve, because you're making it down to the last question, 1 down. So, and he gets to answer first.
No, Steve does.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So Steve can guess the answer, and you can't guess it. No. All right, let's see. Here we go. Final question 6. Awesome. He is a cool guy. All right, and then let's ask as a follow-up here, what course do you usually play at Maple Hill?
I like to play FPO Golds. That's my favorite course to play.
Okay. Now, it doesn't have to be an FPO Golds hole or layout, but what would you say is your favorite hole at Maple Hill? Okay, favorite hole at Maple Hill. This is there's a lot of options. You do not have to guess the color scheme, the flag scheme. You just have to get the number correctly, or closest to. And it's not by proximity on the course. So if you say hole 8, but it's hole 14, and Nick says 11, Nick's closer than you. It's not proximity. Like hole 8 is close to. Never mind. You actually have to be close by number in order. So any number 1 through 18 you can guess. Steve, you're up. What's Tim going to say is his favorite hole on the course?
So I'm going to guess the hole, and then I'm going to guess the configuration for a bonus point.
Ooh, for the win.
Okay.
If you do
Oh,
that,
that's right. That would be for the win. I
if
hadn't
you
even
do
thought of
that,
that.
Steve, if
Yeah.
you do that, yes, you
I'll
will-
happily give that to
wow.
you.
So it's hole number 1, clearly. He can throw 450 feet, and it's a super fun shot. And I'm going to go ahead and say, he said the FPO Gold course, which is the blue course on hole 1,
Yep.
or the diamond course. And that's the hole that is his favorite hole. And back when I could throw 400 feet, that was also my favorite hole. So Tim, great choice. And I'm so glad that it was the blue course that you liked the best, because that's a really fun second shot. I wish your short game was better, because you'd love that hole even more.
Game
See-
over, Nick. He
see,
got
now-
it right.
now-
We'll say
yeah.
goodnight. No.
Now that, Steve has brought up Tim's short game, how it's kind of a mess right now, he's going with hole 14 golds because there's no better feeling at Maple Hill than parking hole 14 gold for the deuce.
Okay, so he did say FPO Gold. Now, just like you talked,
Yeah, but we said any layout.
you talked Hunter Thomas Foundation out of
yeah.
it. I'm trying to do the same for you.
Nope. I'm hole 14 golds all the way.
All right, so let's see. It depends who gets this right. Closest to. All right, so let's see what he answers. Here we go, Tim.
Easily 12 golds.
Oh,
That's really fun.
okay. Awesome. 12
12
goals.
Come on,
So
Tim.
as far as that goes, Nick, you have just gotten your second win, and
My
Steve Dodge.
second win in 6 weeks on my own show.
Steve Dodge was beat with his own course. No, player at your course. We should give away like memberships or something. We'll pay for them. No, I'm kidding. We can't do that. We don't make
That's
any money. yet.
Patreon level 100.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just wrap up. We're just gonna hear his outro here of what he says is interesting in his bag. Then we're closing the show down. So let's just see what he says about that. And then I guess as a closing out question, what do you think is the most unique thing in your disc golf bag?
Most unique thing in my disc golf
It can be
bag?
anything. It doesn't even have to be unique, but to you, it might be the most unique thing.
He's got a signed disc by a pro.
Good question. Let's see.
Got to think about it.
I don't know. I really like throwing blue discs. I have a lot of pretty blue discs like that. I don't have that one on this. So I'm trying to, slowly, every new disc I get lately, I'm trying to get it blue. So eventually I want an entirely blue bag.
Awesome.
I don't know if that's super unique, but I don't know.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing, Tim, and
Sure,
have a
thank
good
you.
round. All right.
Real quick, guys, we want to just say, Steve Dodge, thank you so much. You've been an incredible guest, an incredible game contestant. We know you got to go right now, so we want to make this short and brief. Please, everyone, go buy Birdie, the board game. It is so fun. It's an absolute blast. No, but on a serious note, Steve, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being on, and we hope we can do this again soon.
Yeah, Steve, you
So on a serious note, how many subscribers do you guys have right now?
on YouTube, I think we have we had a few tonight subscribe. Thanks to you. I think we have 400 and I don't know. I'm gonna guess 18 on YouTube, and we've got
427.
Okay, 427 on YouTube. I don't know how many on iTunes right now. Facebook maybe 120. So we're doing okay. But what do you think?
I think when you guys get to 500, we would like to send a Birdie game to one of your subscribers.
Ooh.
You heard it here first, folks. Another Nick and Matt Show exclusive. 500 subscribers, and then we're going to do a giveaway from Steve Dodge himself. Birdie, the board game.
I think that's our first exclusive. We'll have to
We've
mark
had
this
a
down.
couple. The exclusive was, Simon's buying a house
Oh,
in
yeah.
Massachusetts.
But this is
We've
the
had
first-
a couple low-key ones.
But this is the first giveaway ever
Yes.
on the Nick and Matt Show.
Absolutely.
All right. We haven't bought any of our followers to date. Thank you for buying them for us, Steve. All right. Good having you, Steve. We'll check back with you another time. Good luck out there. Have fun with the family, and thanks for coming in.
See you at Maple Hill soon.
All right. Bye.
Good night.
All right, everybody. That was excellent. We kind of moved through it. Steve had a little bit stuff he had to do. Obviously, spending time with family is really important. I know a few things about that. Nick, I have 4 kids.
Yeah, I have no kids.
You have no kids that we know of. No kidding. And so some of those topics, did we miss anything? I think what's interesting, did you end up looking up? People were saying Jomez posted about it.
So I looked it up a little bit, the CBS News, and actually Jeff Yettard had posted the Reddit link to it.
Okay, did you get into that?
I did not get into that yet because it's on the
Okay.
chat that we have going on. But anyways, there's going to be no post-round coverage, which is crazy because
Okay.
next... Hold on, here we go.
Yeah, so I'm reading the graphic. It's a picture of Jonathan Gomez or a Gomez Pro.
Yeah.
It looks like it's from their story, and this is on Reddit. And it says, Disc Golf is back. It says, Dynamic Disc Open coverage airs this summer on CBS Sports Network with an official logo for CBS Sports. And you know what? I watched their final Showmez with Birdie, and they said, we've got some really exciting things we're not telling you about, but really excited. So, like, this has got to be legit. It seems to be Dynamic Disc Open coverage airs this summer. So there's no exact date given here, but it's the Dynamic Disc Open.
Yeah.
Quick, Nick, grab a flight, get out there, play the event.
Yeah, no kidding.
The Preserve Championship also, it says next day coverage.
Begins
But now
July
that's
4th.
not CBS. Okay, so let's be clear. It has the CBS logo only for Dynamic Disc Open. So Dynamic Discs, they somehow in partnership with Jomez, or maybe it's we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, I guess only time will tell at this point.
So it's
I'm excited for it. I mean, we've talked about this on the show, and you know, we've talked about the post-round coverage and everything like that. And at this point, potentially for the Dynamic Discs Open, there's not going to be post-round coverage, but the CBS network is going to air it in July. Is that what it said? Did it have an exact date?
No, it didn't have a date.
Okay.
But here's what's interesting. I'm reading, the comments, and we don't need to be a Reddit channel. It's just rereading comments. But someone says CBS Sports Network isn't obscure, and they're using disc golf terminology. C-tier cable channel. The vast majority of plans don't include. So we're going to find out more about this. But honestly, yes or no, what do you think? Is it going to be good regardless to be on a major network channel, whether it's their CBS Sports Network that some are saying obscure, or what do you think, Nick? I mean, is this a good opportunity regardless?
I want to say it's a good opportunity. Yes. I don't know. It's weird. You kind of talk about it. You talk about it like, hey, one day there's going to be no post-round coverage. We've literally talked about that 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden, during our show tonight, we're reading that for this event, there's no post-round coverage. And at a point, it kind of is like, well, dang, I was really looking forward to watching Jomez this weekend or something like that. But then you're excited for what the future holds in this new opportunity. So I'm excited. I'm nervous. And
is that what it said though? No post-round?
That's what I was getting off of.
What about
Jomez's
CCDG?
I'm not sure.
And obviously we do have the Disc Golf Network, which they are going to have their rounds available post-event. So let me read this. For immediate release, this is on the Dynamic Disc Facebook page, one of their notes that they wrote up. It says 3 minutes reading time. Reading out loud might take a little longer, but let me just read it, because if you're not at your computer and you're driving, I can read it for you. Here we go. For immediate release on the 26th, why does it say June 26th? It's released early. Do you see that? It says right up here, for immediate release, June 26th. So maybe they released this earlier than they were thinking. But here we go. The Disc Golf Pro Tour, Dynamic Discs, and Jomez Pro are pleased to announce a collaboration to create the number 4, 1-hour telecast. That's amazing. First of all, just let that sink in. That's amazing. Of the Dynamic Disc Open airing on CBS Sports Network this August, with time and dates to be announced later in the summer. It says August, right? Okay. The production of the hour-long telecast will be led and delivered by Jomez Pro, featuring post-production coverage of each of the 3 rounds of the tournament, as well as a skins match to be played on Monday after the tournament. Interesting. So then it goes on to talk a little bit about Dynamic Disc CEO Jeremy Rusko got the deal started. So that's interesting. And then put in collaboration, obviously, with Jomez. It says it's together they're working on this. They worked, it seems to be Jomez and Dynamic Disc, Jeremy working in collaboration to secure this deal, CBS Sports Network. So very interesting. And then here's to your point, Nick. You were asking, saying you're excited about watching. You see that?
Central Coast will be filming men's chase card. Will work in association with the Jomez team on this project. The DGPT agreed to alter the existing next day post-production contracts of both teams to let the project move forward. We are thrilled to work with a true disc golf production team to deliver content to a national television network. So fans can expect with Jomez and CCDG.
Central Coast is going to film Chase Card and work in association. So actually,
it's gonna
like
be
under
Chase
the
Card.
brand,
Yeah.
it'll be like they're subcontracted
Yep.
to give extra card coverage for the CBS broadcast. So it's going to even be more exciting.
So while this project will limit the next day post-produced footage that is available to existing disc golf fans, the upside of putting disc golf in front of mainstream.
Wow.
Oh, America will bring long-term benefits to the sport we all love.
So
This is it's insane because we literally predicted this, 3 weeks ago. Who said it? Who were we on?
it
And they
was
said,
Hunter Thomas,
No, it was someone-
Johnny V.
It was Johnny V, and he said post-round production won't die. So Johnny V, we're talking about live disc golf. I hope to see you in the next couple of seconds because when we talk about live disc golf, a Wild Johnny appears. But no, honestly, reading through this a little bit, I am super excited. Anyone in the comments still watching right now, tell us what you think. We kind of want to pick the brains out of everyone watching. Guys on the podcast, comment on YouTube later.
Yeah.
Girls on the podcast, comment on YouTube later.
And
We really want to know.
yeah, for sure. And it says that the next day coverage for Jomez and CCDG, so that'd be your first cards and your Chase cards, will be available on YouTube in September. So this obviously is going to limit the next day footage, as you said, but it's going to be for a bigger project. Men's shot by shot will be delayed. The women's coverage is going to be next day. So now you're going to actually put more of a spotlight on the women's division during the actual event itself. And that is going to be by GK Pro. So, and again, live coverage from the Disc Golf Network. That is, to me anyways, the most exciting.
Yeah.
I like watching live.
Yeah.
So,
And this is potentially also kind of what it sounds like is only for one event that CBS is going to be covering right now. So I know it's going to be hard for people not to see Jomez and Central Coast next day coverage, but give it one event. This could be the most incredible thing that happens in disc golf media. We're not sure yet, but yeah,
wow.
I mean, holy cow, this is insane. We've already got comments coming in. Amazing opportunity for disc golf. It's a bummer for people like me who don't own cable. But I mean, how can you complain about this? I hear you. There's probably 10% of Americans in the world right now who actually still own cable. And what are those 10% doing at this point? Come on.
Well, and I'm not going to call somebody out because they don't have cable, but
No,
it would be,
I'm just kidding.
no, I know, but I'm saying like, and I'm going to actually encourage everybody, all 500 of our followers right now. Would you consider subscribing somewhere? Imagine if CBS saw a 5,000 person bump in their subscriptions online, or just in general. I know it's gonna sound tough to do, but like I can upgrade my cable for a month for like $60, and you might say it's not worth it, but you have to look at the big picture.
We're supporting disc golf, the sport that every single one of us have come to know and love.
I spent $20 tonight on pizza and a chicken parm sandwich.
Yeah.
$20.
Sorry. I have cash.
No, but like my point is, I was
Yeah.
one evening
Yeah.
of sustenance for my body when I could have 4 1-hour segments on CBS Sports Network for.
Yep.
I'm thinking I could upgrade my cable for not that much. So like, think about it. So and then finally, and we're getting ready to close out here, but this has been a shorter show for us in general. Which
Yeah.
tell us if you like that. Do you like the shorter segment? We didn't ramble on as long about each topic, which we could have had a lot more to say, and everyone knows that I could have.
I mean, we still have, honestly, a couple more things if we really wanted to go in and talk about it that we were planning on talking with Steve about, but obviously Steve had to leave a little bit early. If you guys want the show to go on, I think Matt and I would be happy to do so. I have an early morning of work tomorrow, but I'm in the mood to just keep talking disc golf. I'm amped up now. I'm really excited to see what's going on with all of this.
Okay, so Steve talked on a lot of these topics, but here's one
Yep.
for you. What do these other sports, there's these niche sports, if you will, that are probably in a very similar category to disc golf, okay? And people might say, no, they're way larger, but that's because of the sponsorship, not because of the sport itself's history per se. For instance, like I like to think like bicycling.
Mhm.
I like to think maybe some of these like X game sports, skateboarding,
Yeah.
or like BMXing.
Here,
What about
I'll throw you one, Matt. Rock climbing. I know a ton of disc golfers who love rock climbing. When they go out on the road, they check out all different bouldering places and everything like that. Matt and I have a close friend of ours who was on the USA bouldering and speed climbing team. He placed 4th at nationals, which at I think it was 18 and younger, or maybe 21 and younger. It was the highest level competition that he could have competed at. He got 4th place. and his older brother is actually the USA Olympic rock climbing coach. So these guys have a ton of knowledge when it comes to the rock climbing world. He is a boulder setter at the gym out here in Massachusetts. I called him up before this podcast and asked him, hey, what are some sponsorships that got into the sport of rock climbing? One of their biggest ones is North Face. At a lot of their competitions, North Face provided them with prizes. They had banners. The gyms or where the competition was going down, they did social media posts about them. So I don't know, North Face, it's huge. Tons of people. I'm sure almost everyone in the world has some sort of North Face at some point in their life, and they've definitely heard of it.
But to be clear, we asked him prior to the show today, we were talking, and I said, what does North Face do for you? And I feel like right now, and at least this is in the climbing sport world as well, unless you're at some major, maybe world championship, they're giving prizes. And we're getting prizes donated because, again, the companies, as Steve said, don't want to waste their time and money.
Yeah.
So they say, here's
for
a
instance,
gift. We'll give you 10 cases of Red Bull. And it's like, that's great because it makes our event look like, Red Bull sponsored us. But like, is it allowing us to actually do anything? Maybe if we sold off each can of Red Bull
and put that towards the pro purse or something like that. Yeah,
exactly.
For the FPO and MPO.
But advertising is a really tricky thing because we're kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a back and forth. It's like we got to get more people to watch to get more sponsorship ad opportunities. But to get more people to watch, we need more money.
Yep.
Which means we need more ads or more sponsors to come in, and they won't unless we have it. So it's like
a certain degree of exposure to them. I mean, I see it when I go out to, certain big events that happen. Let's, talk about MVP. If Coca-Cola sponsored the MVP Open, one of the only drinks that should be sold at that event should be Coca-Cola, which obviously in disc golf isn't the best drink in the world. Don't get me wrong. I know that.
But you know what they're doing at these events, right? Like these athletic events, like on the sidelines of football or whatever, or whatever it is, they have water inside of whatever that can of energy drink is. Gotcha. They're not drinking the Red Bull.
Yeah. So like LeBron James in the Sprite commercial,
yes.
Probably wasn't drinking a Sprite, but no.
No, exactly.
On a serious note, though, we got to think of, obviously this year is tough. Certain events aren't allowing spectators right now. Certain events don't even have PDGA sanctioning in certain areas at the moment. But going on into next year, how do we get these big sponsorships in our program? Another sponsorship that my buddy Zach was talking about was Yeti. So Yeti is obviously, it's the cooler company, right?
They're the cooler company.
Yeah. We can go with that. So they're the cooler company. They come out with mugs, coolers, a ton of cool stuff for kind of the outdoorsy people. I think that would be an incredible sponsorship in disc golf. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
That could be something, if anyone has a connection to Yeti.
But again,
let's work.
When you say sponsorship, and this is just for the sake of
we're talking about
here,
legitimate, like...
Why would they... I mean, maybe if they donated like 20 Yetis, because you might be able to sell those and get $2,000. But I don't see them... You have to have like an in, because they're not just going to give us money and say, oh, cool, you're going to let 300 people at your event see us. It's going to be, as someone said here in the chats, like it's kind of a catch-22. But I am interested. We don't have the inside scoop here. I mean, you could text Paul if you wanted to, but I wonder, because he got like a Ford shirt when he was over at, what was it, the match play event? The
European, the President's Cup that they do. Yeah.
And they were all of the Team USA was wearing Ford. Maybe everybody was wearing
USA
Ford.
And Europe. Yeah, everyone that had the jersey or the polo.
Does anybody know in our chats or that's listening later that wants to send us a message or an email? What did they get in return for that? Or, and this is where the conversation needs to be, is this just a nurturing of the relationship with a big sponsor to say, like, listen, in good favor here, we're just going to give you, as Steve said, just do it for free for a whole year. And a shirt doesn't cost them anything besides, getting it printed and made. And maybe even UC did that. So it's kind of like we bend over and bow to get a sponsorship, but maybe it's required to nurture that relationship. So that's an interesting topic that we're just following up here. We talked about it earlier. If you just jumped on now, you can go back and listen to it and see what Steve had to say about it. I think one thing we want to be careful about, Nick, is turning off sponsors. So like,
wearing sweatpants to a country club event will turn off sponsors. I'm just being straight up. I've been a huge advocate on dress to impress. I mean, why are we not following the rules of the PDGA? I think for bigger events should be a little bit more strict in the sense of attire, but I do think attire goes a long way. If everyone in our sport and the professional level of it is looking professional, like, I'm not a fan of earbuds while people are playing. And I say that because it's nothing against it. Like right now, it's totally fine to do it. If someone is doing it, it does not bother me in the slightest. I just don't
No,
think...
that's not what you just said.
No. I'm saying...
Quote Nick on it, everybody.
And, while I'm playing a tournament.
I want him to get roasted in the YouTube comments for once, not me.
While I'm playing in a tournament, I don't care at all. Because most of the tournaments that I'm playing in are C tiers and B tiers right now. But if you are going to a Pro Tour event and you are a top player in the world that is getting video coverage on you and everything like that, I don't think the earbuds or the earphones or whatever, I don't think they look professional. That's just my personal opinion. I've heard multiple people agree with me on that. I know it may help you out during the round, and I hope there's a better way to find that. But
what are we basing that off of? Is it golf again? Are we going back to golf? Because let me just
say,
like,
the closest thing we can base our sport off of. We don't want to be exactly like golf, and I 100% get that. I really do, and I don't want our sport to be 100% like golf. But there are certain areas in golf that I think that we can really take from. I'm
the older one as far as this co-host and whatnot goes, but I think, and tell me if I'm totally wrong, like if I watch a snowboarding competition at a half pipe or terrain park, the dudes are like all geared up in what appears to be very cool, hip, like snow gear. It's not the snow gear I grew up with. They've got on headphones that are way cooler than these, and I'm sure they're given all those by their sponsors to like wear and look awesome. But when they're snowboarding, I think they look extremely hip, cool, trendy. Like I want to be like them. And is there not room for that? And I'm not saying that's what these players are who have earbuds in. They're actually trying to like block out stuff probably.
Well, like someone in the comment just wrote, NBA players wear headphones in the layup lines. I get that, but that's in the layup lines. Yeah. Yes, they're on TV and people are covering them, but in the actual game, they're not wearing Beats by Dre headphones.
That's right.
They're just not.
During the game.
During the game, they are not wearing those. They're not wearing AirPods or anything like that. I don't know. I mean, yeah, obviously, if you're warming up for a tournament and you want to wear AirPods, by all means, you do your thing. But in the tournament itself, I personally don't think it looks professional. And you can call me...
How much do we have to pay Nick
for that?
If you're listening, you don't get to see Nick wear his headphones. Yeah. But like, how much do we have to pay Nick to wear these headphones during a round?
Well, luckily, these headphones are strictly for computers and stuff like that. They don't fit into my phone.
Well, we could find an adapter.
No, we're not going to though. I'm just kidding.
So this is great.
Someone right in marathons, it's against the rules to wear them.
Interesting.
99% of the people I know, whenever they are running, are wearing headphones. But that's when they're practicing running or just getting their general exercise in. But in their professional event, which in this case would be a marathon, they're not wearing headphones.
Very interesting topic. We actually didn't have any plans to talk about that, but it kind of came down to the view of the sport. And I think you actually are taking a little bit more of a hot take than me, which is awesome. I feel like, how do I feel about headphones during a round? I personally think, I'll just say it. I've seen like Jordan Castro, right?
Yep.
Wear headphones. And Jordan, shout out to you, man. I think you look pretty cool when you're doing it. I don't think it looks unprofessional. Now the question could be, do people want it at a disc golf event? But as far as your look goes, it looks hip. Does it belong? I don't know. I'm not there yet. I can hear what you're saying, and I don't know if I have a stance on this one. That's very rare for me. I think I would want to hear.
Usually you're completely against my ideas. Matt's like, no, I want everyone at the next Pro Tour event wearing headphones same size as Jordan Castro's. That's what I want.
$10 if Nick wears them. Another 10. Another. No. We've up to $1,000, Nick.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to our podcast, we appreciate you just as much as our live. In fact, I'm going to be honest. I'm excited about seeing like YouTube views and comments. Mm-hmm. But when I see a listen on iTunes or SoundCloud or Spotify, or wherever you're listening, it makes me excited because those are like, I'm not discarding all of our live people. Don't drop. Oh, look at the views already dropping. No, but that is like genuine to me. Like, wow, they're actually taking time to listen. They're not even seeing us. they're driving, they're whatever they're doing, they're working. We really appreciate you, and I hope it put a smile on your face right now. We'd love to meet you someday. Nick, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we close out?
No, I think that pretty much does it. Excuse me, does it. I'm getting tired. I got to wake up at 3 a.m. tomorrow. So
really,
yeah, I
to
gotta
go blast.
No, I got to do some drilling tomorrow. So one of the other parts of my job is we drill. I think tomorrow I'm going to be doing 6 to 8 footers. We drill 8 feet down into the rocks so that in a couple weeks, my team can go out and blast it. That's just part of what I do, and it sucks, but it pays the bills. Nah. But
Wow.
no, I think be excited for next week, guys. We have another, right now, it is set in stone. Obviously, things can change throughout the week, but we have another awesome guest for next week. Another, great topics that we're going to be going forward. So check them out. And thank you, everyone, for liking, subscribing. Please do that.
Can I tease out? And I usually won't do this.
No, by
I
absolutely.
usually won't do this because we try to line things up and sometimes they fall through. But we're going to have Nick Heinold on.
Not
next
Nick
week.
Heinold. We're going to have Nate Heinold. Definitely not Nick Heinold.
I don't have to get up at 3, but I'm already.
He's got 4 kids. He's tired.
Yes, Nate Heinold. Yes, and this weekend, actually, I'm going away, Nick. It's me and my wife's 12-year wedding. 12 years wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's happening. But Nate Heinold is next week, right? Yeah, July 2nd. And the following week, we're really excited about this. If you've listened to this far, you're a true follower. Anyways,
no
you
kidding.
should be.
Jeff, I have a comment to your comment, so give me a minute.
You should be grateful we're giving you this exclusive, but we're actually going to have on Mr. Chuck Kennedy. If you don't know who he is, Google him. He created or invented the rating system at the PDJ and is very, very intelligent. Put together your questions for that. And Nick, what is your last word? And then we're going to sign out.
So Jeff had, just commented really quick. He's one of our top fans. The dude's awesome. But he wrote, "You blow up stuff and that sucks." And I want to explain really quick why some days it does suck. Today was 92 degrees out at the job site that I was working. When it's that hot, the dynamite that you are using, it sweats, which means that the nitroglycerin kind of melts inside of itself, creates fumes. When you breathe in those fumes, when you touch the dynamite or anything, you get the most massive migraine in the world. And I'll tell you, right when I showed up at Matt's house, I was like, dude, I need a Mountain Dew or something. I need some caffeine because that's one of the only ways to get rid of it. So that's the only time that I actually ever feel like, man, this job is kind of annoying sometimes. But to be honest, if you just pop some ibuprofen, it usually goes away pretty quick. So other than that, dude, the job's awesome. I love it. And it's super fun. I'm 25 years old and I get to blow crap up for a living. So anyways, everyone, thank you for tuning in tonight. Everyone, please like, subscribe, share it. We appreciate it a ton. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Nick and Matt Show. Be sure to check us out on your favorite social platform and to subscribe on iTunes.